Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vulnerability Time podcast. I am your host, published author, and PhD candidate, Josias Abriel. Before we get started, folks, just a couple quick announcements. One, the show is now accepting donations. We need to get a new laptop to continue the show. So I have a Cash App in the episode description below. You just click on the link tree and you can donate. Anything helps. There's this used laptop that I was looking at, and it's about $600 something. So that I will be needing to get that to. I found like the best and cheapest used laptop to be able to record the show, because the current laptop, she's dying on us, folks, and the software and the updates, it's starting to do its thing again. So if you would like to donate to help the show out, please do so. Anything helps. Also, if you are listening on YouTube, give this a like. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give this a 5-star rating. It will help the algorithm. I do need 10 more 5 stars to continue the show. So if you could please do that, I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Alrighty, today, folks, our topics will be having a narcissist parent, loss of others, and wanting to leave life, and what that means. But first, let us introduce a brand new guest to the show, Ingeborg. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Vulnerability Time podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. But before we get into anything, tell us a little bit about you. Any work you have coming out? You have a really cool accent. Where you're from? Things of that nature. Like, what do you do? Whatever you want to share.
Okay. Well, I'm based in Holland. That's where the accent comes from. I'm 50 years old. I've got 2 sons. One is left house already. And the youngest is still there. He wants to go into the army, so he's training a lot for that. And I work with people who are very successful, but not so successful in relationships.
Okay.
And they either are going through a divorce or been through a divorce. They attract toxic partners. Narcissism is a lot of in play as well. And they, well, obviously, because of the survival mechanisms, are very successful in their work.
Right.
But in the private life, it's a different thing. At home, it's different.
And that happens a lot more than folks would think. And I'll let you touch on it. I'm sure that'll come out more in our conversation, but there's something that you touched on that I was like, exactly. Okay, so what is that line of work called? Like, are you a relationship coach? Like, personal
If
coach?
Yeah, it is. It is a personal coach, but that's a bit sort of a really sort of common name. It's something like life coach. That's not really what I am.
Oh, okay.
I am, but that's not a proper name. A pattern decoder. You call me. Because that's what I do actually. Because the thing what happens with people, it is a pattern.
Right.
Although they don't know that, nobody says, "Oh, I've got this pattern. I need to see someone."
Right.
So it shows up different. People feel hollow inside. A lot of times they feel lonely. They keep on trying. They've done the podcast. They've done the books. They've done maybe some therapy as well. but still, yeah, things are
That
nagging,
pattern. Mm,
and it's an ongoing thing. So they try a lot
right.
of things, and they can't do it themselves.
Right.
That's not a lack of yeah, trying or a lack of intelligence or nothing at all. You know,
Yeah.
it's nothing to do with that.
Right. Exactly.
It's the pattern.
Right.
Yeah, unconscious. That's the whole point. Unconscious.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. The unconscious patterns. Oh, yes.
Yes.
In that subconscious. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do. Seriously, like I think that's it's very unique and very needed, though. More and more and more. But some areas, some folks, they might not have or know about a pattern decoder. So I'm thankful that you had mentioned that, right, and
Yeah.
shared that with us. Maybe that'll give folks an idea to maybe if they're thinking about it or wanting to look more into it, they can see if there's someone in their area. Um,
Sure.
yeah, that's really amazing. I'm glad that you thank you for existing. Seriously, that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, One thing, if you see me look off to the side every now and then, it's because I'm making sure we're still recording.
Okay. Perfect.
Yes. So yeah, I just want you to know, like, if you see me, I'm listening very actively. I just
I
gotta,
can see you too. Yeah. 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 I can see that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I can feel.
Um, okay, fabulous. Okay, so you mentioned the word narcissism earlier, and I know one of our topics today is a narcissist parent. So why that topic? Like, what's your journey with that? Take us through there.
Yeah. Sure. Well, I grew up with a narcissistic mother,
Mhm.
and that was, well, to be honest, that was hell.
Mhm.
So it gave me a lot of trauma. It gave me a lot of things, actually, a lot of things which are normal for people who grew up with, well, a normal parents, who are healthily attached. It's normal for them. They do things. They got the self-esteem and everything. And if you grow up with a narcissistic parent, that's not normal. So there's a lot of things
Right.
I had to teach myself,
Yeah.
and yeah, there's so many things. But a lot of things people know about the silent treatment. You know, she couldn't speak
Mhm.
for 3 weeks to me. You know, and we're
Yeah.
just sort of walking on eggshells and um, always yeah, scanning the room, scanning her, see yeah, where she was at, if she got
Mhm.
angry, and then one day it was all right what I do, and then the other day she got angry, and
Yeah.
you never knew why.
Right.
That's the whole thing. So a lot of uncertainty, was always unsure.
Mhm.
um, and I, yeah, basically what it comes down to, whatever I felt or whatever I thought, yeah, doesn't really matter. You know,
Exactly.
you rather don't exist,
Mhm.
something like that. And well, and that's really hard for a little girl, which I was, to hear and to maneuver. You
Yeah,
know, for a
experience
lot of,
that.
yeah,
Right.
and yeah, so it's a lot of insecurity, and what I said, the silent treatment. You never know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
The uncertainty as well, and that obviously does something with your identity, because that's basically what they
Mhm.
do. They rob you of your own identity. You start questioning yourself, self doubt, and they are, yeah, an expert in manipulating,
Very.
me and the environment as well,
Mhm.
because on the outside she was very sort of
Very
extroverted.
charming, very, yes. Seemed like, oh, she's
Yeah,
great. Mhm.
such a great mother, oh, you must be happy. And I was, and then, yeah, she was on the forefront, and what I said, very extrovert, and that's what people see. And then
Exactly.
at home,
It was a
obviously,
different
she was very
story.
jealous as well. And she said things about me in front of other people, which I never said, just to make me smaller as well.
Yeah.
And then she had that, what some people may know, the scapegoat as well. It's
Mhm.
like the golden child, which was my brother. I have an older brother, and I was the scapegoat.
Yes.
It's like sheep. And she played into that, and that's a really tough situation as well, because you see your brother getting things, or
Mhm.
getting off things, which he did. Um, so yeah, see what I said. Maybe it sounds very dramatic, but she stole my identity.
It's
I
the
had to
truth.
find it again. Yeah,
Exactly. We have to. We have to because as a child, when we're going through that, folks, no, my mother's narcissist well. Um, as a child, you're not supposed to have your nervous system constantly being in uncertainty. Like that does damage to the brain. I was looking into it a little bit long time ago though, about how narcissism, how it messes with the nervous system and how it can reshape the brain, our
yeah,
brain, the
yeah.
victim's brain, not the narcissist. I didn't
No,
search that. Hmm.
no, no, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I read about it as well. It does something, and that amygdala, the part of your brain, which goes into like, oh my god,
Yeah, the part of the brain that's a part of that's in charge of, some emotions, fear, and all of that good stuff. Yeah.
and
Mhm.
that's sort of wired differently because of the trauma we went through. And then little things like nowadays, little things, it just sort of blows off
Yeah.
like that, and as if I'm back in that childhood. I mean, I don't have that now, but before I had like therapy and
Right.
stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like little things, it makes you feel, well, I'm sure you recognize it, that you're sort of back then in your childhood, and it's a huge thing while it's only very little. And you really have to, yeah, what is it, what's the word for it,
A
well, the something
detox,
your nervous system,
unlearn.
desensitize, that's the word,
Yeah.
desensitize your nervous system.
Mhm.
And yeah, realize that what is normal in nowadays, you know
Right.
yeah, which is different
Mhm.
obviously from what was normal when we were little.
When we went right. What we thought was normal. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And two things. One, because of the constant like gaslighting and having to question myself and things like that,
mhm,
because they could so easily flip a story
yeah,
so easily, no shame at all. They just easily did it.
yeah,
Um, so I remember, once I started realizing that it was narcissism, and thankful, I'm thankful to therapy and also just doing my own research on things. I was able to learn that it was narcissism. Like deep down, I just knew something wasn't right,
yeah.
but
I
I
had
didn't know that it was narcissism. Yeah, so a lot of us, a lot of kids, they grow up thinking that what they experienced was normal, but it
yeah,
wasn't, right? And so, um, I something that I had struggled with and still struggle with to this day, Ingeborg, is um, if I see uh, some some call it red flag. Some have you ever heard like, oh, a red flag?
yeah,
Like in a
sure.
person. So let's say if I see a yellow flag, right, where it's just like this sign could be or just could not be narcissism, I would instantly end that romantic relationship.
Yeah,
Um, because I didn't want to fall back into the narcissism or being in a narcissistic environment. Excuse me, that's what I meant to say.
mhm,
And and I felt like I had to overdo it, overdo being super, aware or looking for these small signs because for so long
yeah,
I let it play out. I don't want to be, blinded on accident. Like like before, you know? Does that make
Yeah,
sense? I think I can
yeah, it does,
okay.
it does, and I think it's very normal behavior because it's your system is protecting yourself because of what you've been through. And always think like it's better that you be a bit too much and then maybe scare people off, maybe some people. But if it's the right one, then they'll stay. Then they can take that. Then they think, oh well, should be harsh, but okay, you know. And then if it's a really good relationship, you can talk about it. They obviously will know because you'll share things.
Yes.
Um, but I do. But what I find as well is I recognize what you're saying, and I have learned over the years as well, and that's what I teach my clients as well, is the difference in your body, the right feeling or the right flag, the green flag, so to speak, and the red flag that feels different inside your
That's
body.
true.
And if you learn to read that in your own body, yeah, if you know what to do and distinguish between one and the other, then you'll never have to question it
Yeah.
because that system, like if you want to call it intuition or whatever you want to call it, the gut feeling is quicker than the thinking mind. So, and if you learn how to read it, because obviously you don't want to read from the wound,
Right.
as I'll call it. It's the proper place. The wound is healed, you're healthy and everything, emotionally healthy. That's what I mean. And then you can pick up on that. You know,
Yeah.
that sign will be there. So then you'll know it's a red flag
Right.
because of what we've been through. That's what I find. I don't know if you
That's
recognize it,
true. That's
but I'm
very
very
true.
quick at finding if people say something in a yeah, whatever way, I pick up on it. It's no good. I help clients with it as well in texts and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's because we've been trained for so long,
Hmm.
you know.
Exactly. Trained. That's right. Yes, exactly. So like we know what to look out for. You know, something that you had mentioned that I really love is, you know, we had to teach ourselves.
Yeah,
We had to unlearn all that nonsense that, you know, our parent, the narcissist, whoever that may be in anyone's life, we had to unlearn that, um, and teach ourselves, and learn for ourselves things. So give me a couple, how did you do that? How
how
did
do
you
I learn it, or how do I do it with clients? What you?
within yourself, because you said you learned, you learned to pretty much unlearn what the narcissist mother was doing to you.
Yeah, yeah,
You how
yeah.
did
Well,
you unlearn? How did you do that? What did that look like for you?
yeah. Well, that's been a path,
Very, yes.
obviously,
Hmm.
because it's a lot of, well, as you know, deep trauma.
Yes.
So it's not just the mindset; it's the inner child healing because that part is wounded and
Yes.
that needs to be healed. So what I did and what I help my clients with is the, as we call it, the reparenting.
Hmm.
So become the loving parent for that inner child, and for that
Exactly.
part inside yourself, which is wounded, which is hurt, which hurts, where the pain is. And unless you do that, then you can never, what I said earlier, distinguish between, oh, is this a good feeling or is it not?
Right.
You know, because otherwise you always react, well, not always, but a lot of times you will react from that wounded part,
Hmm.
and that, well, just brings chaos mostly. It's never really a good thing. And the thing as well is you attract a wounded partner,
Right.
and that's well, a problem obviously.
Yeah.
Then hurt people. You
Right. And
probably,
there's that cycle that can happen, right? Like you
exactly.
said, the pattern.
Yeah, that's the pattern. And you
Yeah.
think, oh, next time I do it different, They may look different, maybe in the beginning do a bit different, but unconsciously, because
Yeah.
you didn't know yet, you attract what is familiar.
Exactly.
That's what the mind does, that's what the system does,
Right.
because it knows how to react on that person. And that's all these subconscious or unconscious,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, patterns. And
Yes.
then you're playing that loop, you're repeating the loop and again uh, until the moment you realize something is not right. Maybe there's something inside of you which might cause that. And then you go on that journey. And I did that myself as well. I really
Yes.
had to, because you need to learn to, well, have self-esteem, have self-love,
Yeah.
because that's where it all starts. And until that moment in time, then you can't really attract a healthy partner.
Right. And I will say this, I'm so glad you mentioned inner child. Embracing, loving, getting to know, and being kind to my inner child helped me say no
Yeah.
to
Yes.
exactly. Yes. Like it,
Boundaries.
yes, exactly. I'm telling you that inner child will help break patterns. Like it's a part of the process. Like you have to know
Yeah.
inner child, right? To break those patterns that were formed when you were a child. At least that's my experience, though.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
oh, good.
yeah.
Okay, glad it's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, yes. So I love that you mentioned inner child. That's such an important aspect because we're all children first before we get to this adult age, right?
Yeah.
And the childhood is where, speaking psychologically and biologically, the childhood is where our body is most vulnerable and it's more like a sponge,
Yeah.
more than it will ever be. It's more like a sponge. So it is soaking in everything in the name of survival, in the name of learning, right? What it's soaking in,
Yeah.
what's its survival environment, and what is it learning? That's
What it takes. Yeah.
exactly, that's where we see a lot of, um, wounds start to happen. And so going back and addressing those wounds, loving that inner child, what helped me, and now it's so easy to do. I do it like I've always done it, but I haven't always done it, is speak kindly to myself. Like if I make a mistake, speak kindly to myself as if I were a child, because that
Yeah.
inner child, you know, and I also look at it, I was like, now would I ever say that to someone else's child? Like me beating myself up, would I ever say that to someone else's child? Oh no. No.
No, I
So
think the thing is that, and maybe that's sort of handy for people to know as well, is that the voice we often hear, and that
mhm,
inner critic, is never the inner child. It's always a parent.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's sort of another person living
Mhm,
his or her life in your head, and saying, so if you say you're critical on yourself, it's never the inner child, because if you ask
exactly.
it, it will say something else,
Mhm,
but it's the parent or the
yes.
caregiver, what you have.
Yes,
So
I was just about to say that too. Is the way I would talk to myself, the type of criticism, and I mean that was I don't even know if that's a good word to use because I beating myself up, that type of critic,
yeah,
that sounded like my parent. Now, though I would never do that to others, I did it to myself until I
exactly.
was just like, wait a minute. Well, it wasn't me, it was therapy and me. Gotta,
You obviously have to change it. Yeah,
yes, yes. And
yeah,
it took a lot of, therapy to be able to recognize, right, what even inner child was and how that stage is so important and how we all have that within us. And
yeah,
so I was just like, what helped me was talking to myself like I would, like how I wish was talked to, with
yeah,
that kindness, that grace, that understanding.
yeah.
Um, you know, Not
Unconditionally,
this eggshell like the parents. Say that again.
unconditionally.
Exactly.
Because that it wasn't, it was always conditional. We had to do something or not do something or whatever, and that was always wrong, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
parent withholding love. A narcissist parent, they do that a lot. Like when you get in trouble, they will withhold love, they will withhold connection from you
yeah,
as another form of punishment, more than the other punishment that they do. That's something else when a child is supposed to be loved,
yeah,
unconditionally.
exactly. And
Yeah,
it's the difference in not being okay with their behavior,
right.
which we all have if you have children,
Right.
and them as a person, and that's the difference. You love them. I've got two sons, but I said I love them unconditionally. Sometimes, you don't like the behavior.
Right.
That's okay because they're human. And that's the whole difference in that they feel that they can do whatever and they have to take responsibility for their behavior,
Exactly.
but I still love them.
Exactly. And they know that the 3 weeks of withholding, like you had mentioned,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
that's yeah, that's ridiculous. I know that feeling as well. And when they when she first started talking to me again after, the withholding and the silent treatment, it would still be this type of passive aggressive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like stingy remarks as well.
yes.
Really cold, and that's, I think you recognize that behavior that I became a people pleaser because
Yes.
of her. I mean, and what we said earlier, the boundaries and everything obviously has to do with it. But you're so happy that you get the attention because it's been withheld, and that you be sort of normal, and we can talk and we can eat together at a table and stuff like that. That it's yeah, you just get along with it or go along with it because you
Yeah,
want to be in, you want to be not excluded.
exactly.
That feeling, and I think my most overall feeling is that I was always scared of her.
Very. Hmm.
Very always, like it's that's I think you feel that as well. It's in your
Yes.
body. It takes a long time to get rid of that feeling. Always scared, always scanning. I mean, it's really good for my business now,
Right.
because I pick up on everything. I
Yeah, I
see
was
it,
just gonna
I
say,
hear
yeah.
everything.
Hmm.
So it's a benefit for my clients,
Right.
but it's too much when I was
A
younger.
kid.
And you have
Exactly.
to, yeah, desensitize that system. What I said earlier, not, you
Hmm.
don't have to scan if you're on a party or if
Right.
you're on the street or whatever. It's
Yeah.
it's too much.
Right. Like learning when to, because I agree. That is a very useful skill that I learned because of her nonsense. So that is a very useful skill. However, struggling to turn it off,
Yeah,
learning to turn it off, because when it was on all the time, it would just create unnecessary anxiety. I wouldn't enjoy certain things as much as I could have because I
yeah,
was too busy scanning. Then, eventually I was like, wait,
yeah.
like you said, like I'm at a birthday dinner. I don't have to do
Nothing is
scanning
going to
this.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah, I was like, just enjoy, just let your nervous system get a break, things of that
yeah,
nature.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, well, it is interesting, I must say, to talk to someone who has the same experience.
Mhm.
Because it's easier. Yeah, people understand, and yeah, where are we coming from?
Right, exactly. Because I do know, before we go to our next topic, folks, I do know, like, it can, someone who's had a great parent, it can be difficult. And I understand, like, it can be how not experiencing something can make it difficult to understand someone who's experienced the exact opposite,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
So thank y'all for listening to us share. These are like Ingbor said earlier, we're not being dramatic. This is the actual this was the actual reality.
Mhm.
Yes, narcissist parents. Yep. Oh my gosh. I
Yeah,
don't
they
want any more of them.
no, they get under your skin. I
Yes.
think that sums it up. Like they get
Yeah.
under your skin, and not in a good way.
Right.
Not in
Not
a
in
good.
a good way. They get under your
You can
skin.
have it in a nice way, but
Hmm.
yeah,
The brain.
yeah,
They get under your bones because the brain is underneath that bone. They get. Yeah. Oh yeah. They get in there. So
everywhere. Yeah,
I had a question.
yeah,
I one of our next topics is wanting to leave life. Did the narcissist parent have anything to do with that? And whether they have or whether they didn't, what's your story with that? Why that topic?
yeah. Yes, it did. Was part of it. Um, because there was a time, even after therapy, I did therapy twice,
Hmm.
like when I was real young,
Oh, good.
because I left home at 16 because it
Hmm.
wasn't. Well, it was better to leave home,
Yeah.
um, and I did then. And then therapy was different from what it is now.
Oh,
Obviously it differs from which therapist you have, but even so, it was different. There's a lot more knowledge nowadays than back then. So that changed as well, and I so I did it again because what you said is like an ongoing thing. And there was a time when, well, I realized something. Let's put it up. I realized something that um, I didn't particularly wanted to leave um, my the life. It's not that I wanted not to live, so to speak, unlike myself, but I didn't want to be in that life.
right.
And there's a difference between it. Maybe it's a subtle difference, but energetically, it's a difference.
Right.
It's
Right.
I mean, I wanted a different life. I didn't want to feel like that anymore,
Yeah.
but not necessarily that I want to unalive myself.
Right.
And that's the difference because when you're in that space, it's hard to distinguish those two
Right.
because yeah, you have this pain and you don't want to be there, and you think
Right.
maybe in a depression state as well.
Yeah. Because
You're not,
they can feel the same.
they
Both
can feel
sides.
the same, but it is a
Yeah.
difference. It's a
Exactly.
difference
Yeah.
because if there's one thing changed and your
Hmm.
life is a bit better, then you're happy that you're still here.
Right.
And in the other part or the other
Hmm.
situation, then you can't even see that. And even though you heard, things can change and stuff like that, you just don't want to be here. There are
Right.
people who just don't want to be on this earth
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Um, and I had a conversation like this the other day as well. And I said, like, I hope listeners can feel the difference that
Yes.
there is space. That it only needs like a slight, sliver of light or something that you feel. Oh, it can change,
Yeah.
and then I don't really want to leave life.
Right.
I just don't want this life, and that's a different.
Yeah.
And you can take charge of that. You can go behind the steering wheel and do something about it,
Yeah.
and then your life can change. Obviously, it takes time, pain, and everything. I'm not saying it very lightly, but it is possible.
Yeah. Yes, I like how yes, you explained it fabulously, very, very well. Um, I heard a long time ago someone say, do you want to die or do you just not l like where you're at in life right now? They said something
Yeah,
like that, but they said it more wise and better, more poetically. I just can't remember what they said verbatim, but I remember the message they were trying to convey, right? That they did convey. Um, so I love how you explained it a little bit more in depth, right? Yes, that's very true. So if there's someone listening right now, who, you know, feeling, some forms of suicidal feelings, but the root is not that they want to die, they just don't want
The
the life
life.
that they currently have. Right.
Yeah.
What are you've been there before, so what do you say to that? Like what would what did you wish you heard a moment like that?
Well, I wish I knew earlier that, well, there was two things. I decided for myself that I'm not going to do that to my kids.
Yeah.
So I made a decision. So that was one thing. And then the other is that I wish I knew earlier that things will change, and it could be different from one day to the other.
Yeah.
So it's always a sort of moment, and even though you have these feelings maybe for months,
Yeah.
you never feel the same every single day.
Right.
It'll be different. So I sort of did that thing of one step for the other, and then saying to myself, okay, this is now, and obviously I don't want to be here,
Right.
or I don't want to be in this life. That's the thing. I want a different life.
Yeah.
But tomorrow might be a bit different.
Yeah.
And let me find out. And then, you know, the next day and the next day, and I had horrible days, really,
Hmm.
and because I made that decision, and it's like a black feeling. You're in that void or something you can't
Yeah.
really see, but I knew I didn't have to believe my thoughts.
Right.
That's the whole thing. Your thinking system, it not necessarily saying the right things, mostly not. That's the whole point. That's what I learned as well in that period of time, that you might think it's the truth. You might think, oh, I can't, never can better, it's like always this, never that, those words.
Right.
But it will get better, it will
Right.
change. And it's like, yeah, the baby steps, one for the other, keep on walking. Obviously, you have to do something,
Right.
but not believing your thoughts
Mhm.
in that darkness and everything, and there's no way out and stuff like that, that is not true. That's the whole point. So
Right.
don't believe your thoughts. Um, make it to the next day,
Hmm.
to the next day, and to the next day, and then things will change.
Yes.
You
Would you
might,
also recommend um throughout this process um not doing it alone, maybe like some form of therapy or therapist, or what would you recommend those,
yeah,
or can
because
someone do it
there's,
on their own?
yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend that, because that thought could be so big
Hmm.
that you might still do something,
Hmm.
which you regret later on.
Hmm.
Um, and the thing as well is that obviously it stems from something. It's
Wait, so
not
you,
like,
do you mean that you don't recommend the therapy, or do you not recommend them doing it alone?
yeah, I don't recommend doing it alone. I
Okay, gotcha.
recommend finding someone, because you
Yes.
need a safe space.
Yes.
That's the whole thing. And that feeling, in if it's depression or not, but you have dark feelings, um, it stems from something.
Yeah.
And so there is a reason for that you feel that way, that you can't get yourself out, that you're stuck, whatever.
Yeah.
And if you have someone obviously knowledgeable and can help you, um, you can change, and you be able to do the process a lot
Hmm.
quicker.
Yeah.
And what I said, the emotional safety is very important. And otherwise, being in that dark space, you have to get it out of yourself. Well, it's nearly impossible.
Right.
It's really good to learn to talk to someone about what's happening
Yes.
inside, offload all those dark thoughts and stuff like that. And they can give you a loving mirror, as we
Right.
like. This is not the reality, because what I said earlier, you think, especially if you're in a real depression, that
Yeah.
what you think is true.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not. Depression is a disease. It's not what you think is right. So you need someone who can, yeah, have you look in the mirror and
Yes.
see this is not the reality. It's your thoughts,
Mhm.
comes from somewhere. We can work on that, and then things will change.
Yes, exactly. And I love that. That was just very beautiful. And so, folks, I recommend um going if it going on Google, searching therapists in the area. You can also search in free therapy in the area. Maybe your surroundings, your city has that. Um, but if not, you can find some very affordable therapy options. Um, and you can also read a little bio about the therapist. When you go on the website, you can read a little bio and see if that's someone that's for you. If you want to only female therapist, you can do that. If you want to only female and queer therapists, you can do that. Read the bio. Heavily recommend. So if you're something new to therapy, that's how I started, right? Like just a simple Google, right? Simple Google search.
And
Um,
even they can do it on Zoom as
yes,
well.
and you can do it through telehealth on
Yeah.
Zoom. Yes, and so that from the comfort of your own home, if you want in person, you can do that too, but you can also do Zoom. So, yes, folks, there you go. And so, Ingbor, um, speaking of leaving, loss of others is our next topic. What is that journey? How did that show up in your life? And like, why that topic?
Then like the topic is grief. Like I lost a lot of people within the span of 2.5 years. So there obviously was grief involved, but a hard thing as well was that there was no pause. So it was one after the other. And well, there's not really a structure which you have to follow, obviously, if there's grief. But what I do know and I realize myself as well is that you do need time for it.
Yes.
You do need time because grief, it's there, and in the beginning, it's like huge. Everything is like the grief, and then you have a little bit of life around it, and then over time, it will change. And so the grief never really goes away, but the life around it grows, and you start, looking outside and picking up your life and work and stuff like that, and maybe new love if your partner had
Yes.
disease. So that's how it goes, and it's not linear. That's the thing as well with grief. So it goes like sort of every corner, and then you think you're there, and then you get angry again, and then you get sad, and then you become in the memories, and you think you're past it. And it's what I said, it's not linear. It's
Right. Very complex.
very complex. You have to surrender to it, which is really hard,
Mm,
because we tend to like to control our emotions in
mhm,
general, so
mhm.
in grief as well. Um, and yeah, the hard part for me was not having a pause to be able to, yeah, grieve in that moment, in that person who was really important in my life. And then the next one came. So I had seven
Yeah.
people in 2.5 years, very close to me, both my parents. Um, and even though my mother was narcissist and was very complicated relationship,
Right.
was
Yes.
still my mother.
Right.
So
Right.
there's a lot of things we
So of
will
course
sort
it had an impact, right? Like that that's still our just like how they treated us had such an impact, them leaving will still have such an impact because I mean,
of,
that's our parent, right? So,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then the feeling as well, because my father passed in January this year, so
Mhm.
both parents are gone. Um, all the thing what you, well, maybe people recognize is that you have that feeling, oh, maybe I can ask this, or maybe I can do that, or maybe we can sort of make up, or whatever.
Mhm.
Well, if they're gone, obviously you can't.
Mhm.
So it's very clear in that sense. You have to deal with it, but that's mourning as well. That's
Right.
that's grief as well. And what I realized is, well, that's what I want to say to your listeners. If you have the possibility, please take the time for grief and give yourself some slack. Because you can't put it in a time frame, you can't put it in a box. It's not like after 3 months you have to be ready. You can pick up your life, and you should, because life goes on. But there will be times and stuff when it comes up, usually when you don't expect it. A smell, a sound, some photos, some clothes, things like that. And
Mhm.
then you're whoop,
Right.
way back into that situation. Um, but it's yeah, I should have done that more.
Mm.
Hindsight, I should have done that more, taking more time for grieving. I think that's better for a human to really
Right.
set aside time for it and just
Mhm.
sort of ponder around in your home and do nothing and
Right.
stuff like that, because your head is not really screwed on,
Right.
so to speak. You're not
Mhm.
clear, you can't really focus. It takes a lot of energy. You forget a lot of things as well. um, and yeah, and we, maybe because of my background as well, it's my sort of survival mechanism to
Yes.
keep going, like
Right.
nothing happened. And that's well, I've changed things as well, but that's in situations like that.
Yeah.
Then that's, yeah, coming around the corner for a bit, you
Yes.
know and so I had to be really aware,
Yeah.
like, oh my god, here am I, doing it again,
Yeah.
and not taking the time, going on, and that will backfire on you,
Right.
you know
Right.
uh,
Yeah, because grief does stored up grief can live in does live in the body,
yeah,
and that can end up that undealt with for can manifest in a multitude of ways. Grief, holding in grief is linked to the body takes it as a form of trauma if it's in there too long without being poured out. um, it's been linked to a higher likelihood for heart disease, higher
yes,
likelihood for cancer. So I love that you said, make time for the grief, like allow yourself to hold space for grief, right?
yeah,
It's okay to grieve. It's okay. It's okay if it happened 2 years ago and then all of a sudden some random like I remember when I found out my grandmother died. This year, I found out this year. Um, got over it. I wouldn't say I got over it. I grieve differently than others around me just because I've already died and went on the other side. When I was
mhm,
15, I had my near-death experience. So I don't grieve in the sense like I don't grieve knowing that, oh, I'll never see them again, because that's not true. Um, but that's just from my experience though. If I didn't have that experience, I would my grief would definitely look different. But I
mhm,
remember that day, it was for 2 days of just on and off random crying. It would be just little bursts, random bursts of crying. And then
Mm.
then I'd be fine. And then out of nowhere, I would start crying like again. And the first day that happened like throughout the whole day until I went to sleep. The second day, it was kind of, it happened, but not as often. But, and then everything seemed fine. But the reason why I remember if I was doing homework, I would just stop and I would just cry. If I felt like my body needed to cry, I would cry.
Yeah.
However, now that was months ago. That was what, in February or March? Maybe February. No, it was March. It was March. I don't know when it was. It was February or March, probably March. But yesterday, no, 2 days ago, I had a moment,
Out
right?
of
Like
nowhere.
out
Yeah.
of nowhere. And I love what you said, the importance of just allowing your body to grieve. If
Yeah.
allowing the body to grieve, like it's okay. Please do it for your future self and your present self. Allow the body to grieve. And I say future self because it's like it does grief stored up, you
It does.
know, it
Yeah.
can lead to, higher likelihood for, heart attack, for stroke, all types of physical health problems.
Yeah, and even so, that is a part. But what I know as well is that
Mm,
if you don't allow the grief,
mm,
then another time, let's say a woman gets pregnant and she hasn't dealt with the grief,
mm,
that particular situation, because it's very emotional and everything,
yeah.
brings up so much and the grief as well, which you obviously don't want if you just had your baby and everything. So, or other really big situation, it can bring up, it is stored, what you said, but it will come out.
Mm,
And then even next time, if you have another, well, maybe a divorce or something. That's grieving as well. And then you start
yeah.
grieving your grandmother or your parent or whatever.
Mm,
And it's double.
yes.
It's more. It's not just
Mm,
that thing. It's sort of accumulated and
right.
everything on top of the other.
Mm,
So it's good if you can, yeah,
yeah.
allow yourself to grieve and
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, folks, give yourself permission. You tell yourself, because I know a lot of folks were taught crying is weak and, oh, I gotta be strong. If you gotta tell yourself, go to the mirror and tell yourself, I allow you to cry. I give you permission.
yeah.
Do that. If you need to do that, do that. Because you gotta grieve.
It's yeah,
Um,
very healthy.
yes.
Yes.
Well, we are um coming up on time. I wanted to thank you for coming on the show and blessing us with your wisdom and your story and your courage, you know. Um, Thank you.
Well, it was a pleasure.
Was a
I
kid.
really like the
Yes.
conversation, and I hope I have given some things to your listeners, and that they can do something with it. And yeah,
You've given some things to me as
oh,
well. So
that's good. That's
thank
good.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Ingbor, you stay on 4 minutes. I'm about to close out the show. Two things. Folks, if no one has told you today that you are worthy of healing, you are worthy of love. Allow me to be the first. You are worthy of healing, you are worthy of love. And allow yourself to be the second. Get to know inner child. Love inner child. Be kind to inner child because you are worthy of the kindness. And the second thing is we do have listeners in Holland. This show is also listened to in Holland. So hey everyone in Holland, hello. Ingwards in Holland, from Holland. So hi Holland. Just wanted to say hi to Holland.
Ah, that's
Alrighty.
kind of
Alrighty.
you.
See y'all folks. You stay on. For the next episode for whatever that will be.